This is Binders and Boxes, and we're here to talk about the best color in Magic. Well, we're really talking about color identity, but one color identifies as best, and that's fact. It's blue. If you think it's a color other than blue, you're wrong, and that's okay.
I like purple.
As long Purple's not a color in Magic.
Yes, it is. It's real. It's real. I saw it.
It was going to be real at one point, but it is not real.
It could. I believe it. I believe. I want to believe.
Believe all you like.
All right. So here we are.
So, to start off, I feel like we should talk about what each color, because this is mainly, for those that don't know, not going to be us talking about mechanics of a color, but more so talking about the emotional aspect. Or not emotional aspect's the wrong word, but flavor. Like what the color represents flavor-wise. For example, white is the color in Magic the Gathering of order, law, community, and structure. It mainly embodies the principles of like peace, fairness, and morality. It oftentimes, in Magic's flavor, prioritizes the community over the individual. And the joke I made about blue being the best color in Magic was mainly a joke. All of the colors have their pros and all of them have their cons, both from a flavor standpoint and a mechanic standpoint. Every single color is capable of being heroic, and every single color is capable of being villainous. If you want an example of every color being villainous, you can look no further than all of the monocolored Phyrexian Praetors. That is, every single color taken to the extreme and shown in villainy. Like, for example, Elish Norn wanting to complete everything, that is prioritizing the community over the individual, not giving a rat's ass about the individual at all, and caring only about the community's health and the good of the community. But also, Phyrexians are a hive mind, kind of, as seen when we had some story elements from Elish Norn's point of view, so the good of the community is also the good of Elish Norn. But she also wants order and structure above all else, as long as that order and structure follows the order and structure that she wants. Right? It's like, that's an example of how white is a villainous color. White is, in my recollection, the color least often depicted as a villainous color, whereas black is the color most often depicted as villainous, where black represents the pursuit of power at any cost. It embodies mainly ambition. It also embodies death and selfishness. It is also associated with concepts like greed, cruelty, and sacrifice. While it is portrayed, again, as the primarily evil color, it also is the color of personal identity, self-interest, self-actualization, and the color of rebirth through destruction, right?
Can you tell me we were having a conversation about at lunch today?
What, sorry?
Sorry, it was just a dumb joke. I said, could you tell what we were having a conversation about at lunch today?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure people can tell that we have these conversations, which is why we have so many ums and gaps and other such pauses.
Yeah, I'm going to edit those out this time, I swear. This episode's going to be good for once. Yeah. I swear, I'm not going to slack.
Hey, all of the episodes are good, EJ. All of them are good.
They're all good in their own special ways.
But then we have blue, which embodies intellect, logic, the pursuit of perfection through understanding, experience, and like key aspects of what that color embodies are like control, knowledge, manipulation, and other such stuff. And like, there's nothing wrong with control and manipulation, like, because we manipulate people. Like, that's kind of part of the human existence, or any existence, really. Like, when you ask someone to, like, do a favor for you, and they do that favor for you, that is on some level a manipulation, right? And having control of your own life is also not necessarily a bad thing. But again, all of these colors can be villainous, all of these colors can be heroic, right? That's actually something I like a lot about Magic, is that no one color or faction is the evil color or faction, essentially. Unless you're, like, in the narrative, it is evil. But broad paint strokes, it's not necessarily evil. Then we have red, which is emotion, impulse, chaos. It's the embodiment of passion, of anger, of freedom, but also like grief. Grief is very much, in my opinion, a red emotion. I'd also say love is very much a red emotion because of passion, right? And so like for an example of like a red character that embodies grief and love and like the passion that comes from those things, I would say look no further than the Feldon of the Third Path or the story Loran Smile, which is just a story about Feldon grieving the loss of his wife Loran and the fact he didn't get to say goodbye or see her smile one last time, essentially. It's a phenomenally beautiful story, and I do heavily recommend if anyone ever gets a chance to read it. It is available for free on WotC's website, story archive, stuff like that. So that's like Red, and like Red's one of my favorite characters from Red. One of my favorite characters from Blue, since I've realized I didn't mention that. I didn't even mention a favorite character for White or Black, so we can get to that later. Let's finish the rundown. And then we have Green, the final color, which is nature, its growth, its instinct. It's also associated with strength, fertility, and like the natural order of things, and like what is natural. So those are like what the colors kind of represent. It is again broad strokes. You can like narrow it down, and there is going to be some overlap with the colors. Like for example, hatred is considered by many to be a black emotion, to the point where
It's
like
definitely
there is
kind
a
of red
card.
though.
Well, yeah, it is definitely kind of red in my opinion, but the card hatred itself, is a black card. Um, so like, God, I need to stop saying. I'm realizing how often I'm saying it.
I mean, if it's any consolation, I say okay way too much.
Yeah, but okay, in my opinion, is a better filler word than Um, is just so detracting, in my opinion. That's just me. I'm gonna try and say it less, but I make no promises. Genuinely, I make no promises. So, fuck, I just said okay.
Just go
So,
with it, JV. Let it ride.
so mainly the thing I want to talk about today is the Laura Croft card, which really is a disappointment for me because I feel it does not fit her color. She was given the color of Temur, the color identity of Temur, which is blue, green, and red. That's Temur. Blue, green, and red.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully agree that blue represents her as the color of knowledge. She has, depending on the continuity of the game, quite a bit of knowledge. She has language expertise, in some cases multiple PhDs, in some cases one PhD, but just being well educated doesn't necessarily mean you're a blue character or blue aligned. There's the fact that she's also raiding tombs and getting knowledge that makes her blue aligned, or at least I see as blue alignment. Red, it's been a while since I've played the game, so I might misremember, but I don't remember her being very reckless or impulsive or like passionate. You could say she's passionate for her work of archaeology or raiding or whatever the like, but considering the fact that there are like methods to acquiring artifacts and the like instead of like raiding a tomb, one could also argue she's not that passionate for having it being done the right way, I guess. It's one way of putting it. Like red, I could see. Green, like nature, growth, instinct, strength, fertility, the natural order of things. I don't see how what she's doing fits green at all. That's me personally. I don't see it. I could see green being present if she was Sultai, which is green, black, blue, because green and black is the color of, mainly those two colors together are called Golgari, and it's the color associated with like rot and decay and like death and like tombs. Like Overgrown Tomb is a black green card, for example. So I could see that, and then you have the blue. There's also the fact that Sultai, that three color combination, is the like primary graveyard conversation, like not conversation, color combination. Why did I say combination? To the point where the like pinnacle of graveyard commanders, my favorite commander of all time, is Muldrotha the Gravetide, who is a Sultai commander. And I could also see Grixis fitting her really well, because you have, again, the Dimir. Because I feel like, to me, this is, again, my opinion, on some level, her tomb rating is self-serving, or is ambitious, right? Which is why she needs the black. Like, I felt like she should have been core Dimir, and then her third color could have been something like picked elsewhere or discussed otherwise. The
Let me
fact that she's Temur, like there's no black, is really what irks me.
so let me ask you this: if it was just like, yeah, I understand you're really emphasizing the black mana. If she was pure, I think it's Mizzet, right? Blue red. Would that be
Is
acceptable
it?
to
Yeah.
you, or would that
No,
be no?
to me she's core Dimir, which means if she's going to be two colors only, I would have her be Dimir, which is blue black. Like, to me she's core blue black. I really struggle to separate if she's mono blue or mono black in my head. Like, she really feels like those two colors. If she's a third color, I could see the arguments for her being red as her third color or her being green as her third color. But I see black having a higher priority in her than green and red. I genuinely believe the reason they did green and red is they wanted to put the red board wipe in her secret lair, which is the storm that kills her parents, I think, in one of the games, or it's a storm that
Mhm.
hits one of her yachts or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's Wrath of Gods. It's a reskinned version of Wrath of Gods, which is a red board wipe, and they put the Bow of Nylea as a reskinned legendary artifact. Well, legendary artifact enchantment, and they wanted to make a commander deck where you could run both of those cards in there. And it kind like, yes, bows, and she uses a bow, are primarily a green thing. We've seen bows being used by mono black characters such as Orcish Bowmasters. They're a mono black character, and Poison Tip Archer is a Golgari green black archer, right? Like, bows are primarily green in terms of like iconography of the colors. But they're not only green. Other colors have had access to bows.
Well, the thing with bows and green is that it always ties back to the elves, right? That's sort of what they're associated
I
with.
wouldn't I wouldn't say it ties back to the elves, cuz we've had a bunch of mono black elves and green black elves from both Kaldheim and Lorwyn. Lorwyn had green black elves and mono black elves and mono green elves, and same with Kaldheim. It's that bows, like the symbol for reach, which is a keyword in Magic the Gathering, is a bow. And reach is primarily a green keyword. Um, because green is not supposed to have flyers mechanically. Like, even though, like, Hornet Queen, for example, one of my favorite green cards of all time, that is considered by many to be a color pie break because it gives green a bunch of flying bodies. Even though, flavor wise, I think a like swarm of bees and flying bees and a hornet's nest and stuff fit green in its natural order of things like to a T. Mechanically, it is considered by many to be a color pie break because flying is not supposed to be something that green does well or does easily, right? Which is why green has reach as a way of dealing with flyers. And like plummet is like a staple green card that like destroys a creature with flying and stuff like that. So to me, it's not that bows are elf things, it's that bows are a reach thing and reach is a green thing. So they needed to give her green. In which case you could have made the board wipe that you were reskinning a black board wipe and made that like a natural disaster or something. But the board, like, it was a storm that took out the boat, and storms of like lightning and stuff like that are very much a red thing primarily. They can also be a blue thing, so it could have been a blue board wipe. I'm just irritated because I would have loved if she was Esper. Granted, I know another Esper artifact commander. Esper, for those of you listening that don't know, is white, blue, black. It is the color primarily associated with artifacts. It can do a lot of nonsense with artifacts. A lot of nonsense with artifacts. Um, and like another Esper commander that cares about artifacts, but like white is the color of nobility. Lara Croft comes from nobility, right? So I could see white also fitting in her just to represent the fact that she comes from British nobility, basically. Granted, it is like a mild marker. Like, again, Dimir is what I really feel she's missing. Like, I really feel she's Dimir core. But that's again just my opinion. If you disagree or you've played the games more recently than me, because it's been a few years, feel free to like engage in the comments. But that's also green is like not a huge artifact color. Like green doesn't really care about artifacts. It sometimes does, but for the most part, green doesn't. But that's not to say that green can't care about artifacts. Like the Aloy from the Horizon PlayStation crossover card. That card, I think, was done phenomenally. I think Simic fits Aloy really, really well, and I think that was done really, really nicely.
I've got to be honest here.
Um,
I'm a little out of my depth because you got me with a double whammy. I'm not a magic expert, and I know nothing about Tomb Raider. I've got to be honest. But
yeah, so it's been so long since I've played Tomb Raider, so I might be mistaken, but it's just like, I wanted her to be Dimir core and add like another color. Um, fuck, I just said again and I'm noticing it. The fact that she's not Dimir core is what really, really bothered me about her.
JP, if I call this
I say
episode what will you do to me?
I would laugh actually.
Oh, okay.
That would be very funny. So that's basically my gripe with Lara Croft is she's not Dimir. So
You really want that black mana in there somewhere.
it's not even that. It's just Temur really didn't fit her, in my opinion, and I would have loved her to be like Sultai or Grixis. Like, and an argument a lot of people make is that Grixis is like the evil color combination. Like, there's really no notable like heroes from Grixis. There's a few in Magic's history. There's Tetsuya Umezawa, who killed Nicol Bolas. I would say he's a hero from what I remember of his lore. There's Admiral Brass from Ixalan. I mean, yes, they're a pirate. Yes, they go outside the law, but like they're trying to shut down a lot of the pillaging and other such stuff from like what I remember of the Ixalan story. So I would say on some level they're a hero or an anti-hero. And then if we're going into universes beyond, we have Nathan Drake
I was just about to bring this up.
from the PlayStation crossover and Edward Kenway from the Assassin's Creed crossover.
Okay, but I want to ask you a question.
Yep.
Lara Croft and Nathan Drake are very similar characters, at least from an outsider's perspective. They're both supposed to basically be video game Indiana Jones. Again, on that surface level, I'm sure if you really dig into it. But in my research, because I've never played Uncharted, unfortunately, I'm a pleb, but I did do some reading on Nathan Drake. And one of the first results you get when you like Google Nathan Drake lore is this video essay titled "Is Nathan Drake is not a hero?" And it gets into that whole kind of whatchamacallit.
So I would say from the more traditional sense or traditional definition of what a hero is, Nathan Drake is not a hero because he is really doing the things for his own self-interest or his own benefit. But I would say he is not a villain to the same. I would say like he's a selfish guy. Not gonna lie there. Not gonna split hairs there, and he just really only cares about his own self-interests because he is quite selfish at his core. But some of the other like Grixis villains we've gotten are like Ashnod the Uncaring, for example, who's Mishra's during the Brothers' War right-hand woman. He is not on the same level of evil as other Grixis characters we've gotten that are evil. I'd also say, as someone who's been a while since I've played both games, I would say Nathan Drake and Lara Croft are portrayed very, very similarly, to the point where they are kind of like gender-bent versions of each other. So the fact that he's Grixis when she's Temur kind of irritates me as well. because it's like I would have been fine if she was Grixis. My problem is she just doesn't have black in her color identity, and I really feel that black in her color identity fits a lot more than either of the other two colors. Like blue, I think fits. Like I feel like you can't take away blue. I feel like black should replace either the green or the red. Like that's what I would have done if I was designing her. But I feel they decided what. I get the sense that WotC was lazy when making her as a card, and that they designed the cards in her, like they decided what cards were going in her secret layer first, then realized what colors those cards are, and then decided we need to make her these colors so that all of the cards can go in the secret layer. That's the impression I get, and maybe it's a false one, right? That's just how I feel. But that is the impression I get, that they decided cards first, designed her second. And for Universes Beyond products, I'm of the opinion that you should design the mechanically unique card first, and then try and get the other cards from Magic's history to like fit in around that. And that's kind of what I feel happened with Aloy's card, where they made this cool, like cares about big artifacts attacking Simic card, and then included some big artifacts in there. Also, Aloy's bow, Regala's Wrath, is a reskinned of Tarian's Soul Cleaver, which is not a bow and does not give reach, which means Lara Croft's bow could have been a reskin of a non-bow. It didn't need to be an actual bow itself.
Which again goes back to, I, I think there's a lot of arguments to be made here about why black could have been included in her card. I think I kind of have to agree with you. I think they worked backwards.
It's what it feels like, and it gives me a similar feeling to something you've complained about, which is the Zuko the Redeemed card, which is a reskin of Riss the Redeemed, so we can like segue onto your topic.
Oh, jeez Louise, dude. This is going to be a whole thing.
Well, to me, looking at that, it genuinely feels like they just went Control F, typed in the word redeemed in all of Magic's legendary creatures, and the first result, they slapped Zuko on top of it. Like, that's what it feels like for me for Zuko the Redeemed. That's what it feels like for me for a lot of the source material cards, where they took the 480p screenshot from Avatar: The Last Airbender and slapped it on a Magic card that they felt kind of fit the screenshot.
Kind of fit. Okay, we need to talk about, I've heard this name pronounced two ways. You pronounce it Riss. The one I've heard more of is Rice, but you eat rice.
Rice might be correct. I've never heard someone pronounce it other than myself and my friend group, and we pronounced it Riss. Rice might be the correct way of pronouncing it. It's like, that is part of the problem when you have no official, and maybe there is an official pronunciation guide for this card, and I just haven't found it or looked it up. But like, for me, for example, I thought Hermione, until I heard the Harry Potter movies, was pronounced Hermione, or something else to that extent. Like, I didn't know how it was pronounced. Epitome, I thought was pronounced epitome for years. I didn't get that corrected until sophomore year of high school. That was a quite embarrassing presentation where I went epitome and my teacher was like, "What are you talking about?" And I had to spell the word, and they're like, "Do you mean epitome?" And then I got laughed at. It's whatever.
That just happens in school. What can you do?
I mean, well, yeah, because we're all high schoolers and we're all little shits, and we are still developing and becoming real people. I probably, if I was in the audience, would have laughed at someone thinking epitome was pronounced epitome, but like, up until that point, I'd only ever read the word. I'd never heard someone say it, so I didn't know how it was pronounced.
I mean, I still know grown adults who can only read it at third grade level, so just be glad you're not one of them. Let's put it that way.
I mean, 70% of the country can only read at a fourth grade level or some ridiculous statistic like that. I'm not going to Google the statistic, not going to search it up. It's not important, but literacy is something that does need work on in this country, and it's whatever.
especially with
But you
Magic
did
players. What? I
raise.
didn't say that out loud.
Oh, especially with both Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh
The
players.
Yu-Gi-Oh players are the worst. Like they're actually the worst. Myself included, mind you. I make a lot of assumptions playing that game, and I shouldn't. But the text is
I
tiny.
I'm a bad Yu-Gi-Oh player too. I think it's part of the reason I only play Yu-Gi-Oh casually or I play Edison. Um, well, Edison is because that was when I was last like really into the game. So by playing Edison nowadays, I'm playing with cards I'm familiar with and they haven't gotten crazy yet, and it means I can make assumptions and they will oftentimes be true. On the topic of Yu-Gi-Oh players not reading, I've been watching Distant Coders YouTube judge highlights. Those things are hilarious. I wish we had something equivalent for Magic the Gathering, like if Cockatrice judges would like stream and have like highlights for that, so I could see how crazy Magic players are in comparison to Yu-Gi-Oh players. Oftentimes, he solves the problem by treating both parties involved, both players, like kindergartners, and just telling them to effectively communicate with each other. It is shocking how often that is the problem of these, I'm assuming, grown adults engaging in this hobby online, refusing to effectively communicate what they're doing and how it's going to the opponent. And I'm like, it's a two-player game. You do need to, on some level, say what you are doing. You cannot just, like, trust that your opponent will be able to parse fully and exactly what you are doing at every single step of every single phase of every single change.
But
You
typing's
need to communicate at some point.
hard.
Yeah, it's just so funny to me. It's hilarious. Then we have your discussion about the three Zuko cards that are in the main set. I'm not going to bring up like Zuko Avatar Hunter or other such
So
stuff because those are um in the Eternal set, which is not like the standard set and had like different design principles.
right.
I was talking to another friend of mine in Magic about the Zuko Exiled Prince and like the stuff you brought up. And they mentioned that Magic is actually a huge fan of showing their characters going through the story, of starting out as one color, gaining a second color, like midway through, and then at the end of the story to show that this is their final form, they've gained a third color. And that was done quite a bit in the Avatar set and in other sets in the past. So to me, when I learned that from them, was talking to them about that, and they showed me some examples, it made their decisions about Zuko make way more sense in the grand scheme of things, because Zuko obviously is red primary as a member of the Fire Nation, and they made the Fire Nation color red. Then his second color he picks up is black because he is ambitious. He's trying to hunt down the Avatar for his father and get his father's love and stuff like that back. But also, black is the color of self-interest and self-actualization and personal identity. And Zuko goes on a huge arc of learning who he wants to be and what it means to be Zuko, essentially. So him getting black makes so much sense also from that aspect of the character. And then at the end, when he's like the story's over and he's the Fire Lord, he picks up white as his third color, which is order, it's nobility, it's law. He's now the head of a state. So that progression through their design lens makes a lot more sense. There's also the fact that Zuko Exiled Prince as two colors, I don't think is limited playable. I'm not even sure if Zuko Exiled Prince as one color is limited playable. Zuko Conflicted, I think, is very limited playable as a 2-mana 2/3. I think Zuko Conflicted, personally, is standard playable. Like, I might be crazy, but I think that is standard playable.
So you've made a lot of really good points about the majority of
Yes.
these cards, with how
Yes,
they
sorry.
pick colors, how they add colors, how they don't really. I understand you're right. How they don't really take away colors; they just kind of build, stack, and how black ties into everything. I understand all of that. What I don't understand, and I get that these screenshot cards, the bonus cards, are on their own little plane of existence.
Yes.
I just don't understand. I don't understand. I think you hit the nail on the head again with they just typed redeemed in and picked the first card with redeemed in the name.
Well, another example. This is a great example for me. Is the Mechanist, the Mechanist. Sorry, why did I say Mechanist card? Where the Mechanist Tactical Tinkerer is a reskin of Lita Mechanical Engineer,
Hmm.
which Lita Mechanical Engineer is a legendary artifact creature artificer, vigilance, and at the beginning of your end step, you untap each other artifact creature you control, and she makes Zeppelin artifact tokens, or otherwise known as blimps or
Right.
stuff, which he invented in the show. So like that flavor wise really, really fits. But he's not an artifact creature, so the fact that he's reskinned as an artifact creature feels kind of
Oh,
weird.
hang on, wait. Doesn't he have like
Um,
he has like the fake fingers, doesn't he? So he's got a little bit of machinery going on there, doesn't he?
that's not enough to be an artifact creature, in my opinion.
I know, but like, let me put it this way: that's it's better with me than green white Zuko. I'll put it that way.
There's, there's also the fact that white is the color of order and conformity and such,
Yeah.
and he is very chaotic and scatterbrained and such. What like order does not come into his. He's like a mad scientist kind of.
He's he shares a brain cell with Sokka. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but I would say Sokka is way more organized than him. Now, he has a non-reskin card where they made him mono blue, and I feel mono blue fits him way better than mono white.
I don't disagree, but I also think this is not okay. There's one thing really bothering me about the Mechanist card.
Yeah,
Sorry, the Tactical Tinkerer card. The
yep,
screenshot they chose is so like I've looked at a bunch of these at this point.
yep.
I haven't looked at all of them, but I've looked at a bunch. This one is
Yep.
so blurry. This is the most distracting it's ever been because people point out the blur on a lot of them. This one is bad. Like Sokka kind of looks like he's melting in this screenshot because it's supposed to be far
Yeah.
away and they zoomed in really far.
No, it's. I'm not a fan of the source material frames, cards, whatever they're calling them.
The Beyblade cards. That's what I always call them.
Part of the reason I think they did them is they kind of did source material cards with the Spider-Man set, where they took comic panels and they made them into cards and the like. Those were like the only cards people, like collectors and the like, were getting hyped or getting excited for, or like really wanted. I feel like part of the reason people were only getting hyped or excited for those cards is because those cards were the only cards that were like really, really desirable in Spider-Man. Spider-Man was not a very desirable or well wanted set.
But JB, the bagel JB. You don't want the
The
bagel?
bagel.
I don't know why that always trips me up. I can't. It just. Sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the bagel. I think is funny. Sorry, if the bagel wasn't in Magic the Gathering officially, like it was a joke set that someone made online, or if it was in an unset, I think it would be a lot funnier than it actually is. Currently, the bagel just kind of irritates me.
I can't think of a less mystical piece of foodstuffs than a bagel with cream cheese.
What about the cup ramen from Final Fantasy?
Okay, look, it's a close race, but you know what? When I eat cup ramen, it tickles my little weeaboo heart. So you know what? I can see it going either way, but for me, the bagel is just like it's boring. It doesn't taste like anything. Cup ramen at least like has a flavor.
I mean, wait, you're hold up. What? Whoa, whoa, whoa,
I
whoa,
don't
whoa,
like
whoa.
bagels. Okay, there it is. I just don't like bagels. I don't like them.
I, I think instant ramen has like. I mean, granted, I'm a vegetarian and I haven't found like a good vegetarian instant ramen. I love bagels way more than I love instant ramen. If I,
This is what we're doing.
yeah, we're now debating about the merits of a bagel versus the merits of instant ramen.
Okay, here. Let me meet you. Let me meet you where you live really quick. The instant ramen's two mana. The bagel is one. Okay, clearly, the instant ramen is more valuable by proxy.
I mean, the instant ramen has flash when this ETB's draw a card. The bagel is one mana sorcery speed, but it has two options, whereas the ramen only gets you life gain. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't think either of them are really commander playable at all. I don't even know if either of them are like 60 card playable. And if you're playing them in 60 card decks, I would ask you why. Like, who hurt you?
You hurt me. I'm gonna start running instant ramen out of spite now. How dare you?
No!
Yeah, this is the worst day of JB's life.
Oh, man. But that's the whole situation. I think for the source material cards, they just got really, really lazy. I mean, it just feels like laziness, and I don't like because there was work that went into these sets and these products, but on some level, I also feel like there was less work than we normally get in a Magic set. Partly because they don't have to create their own world and like lore, etc. for this set, so they kind of just have to invent it essentially. Well, not invent it. Sorry, they just kind of have to like slot this stuff in, especially when they're reskinning it, and it feels lazy.
It does feel very lazy. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted. Apparently, there are people downstairs. I didn't know there were people coming over tonight, but that's a thing.
Mm.
I hope that music doesn't get us copyrighted. Jesus fucking. It's
I can't even hear their music.
okay. If you can't hear it, that means it's probably not getting picked up. I can hear it though.
Okay.
So if I like fall silent, it's because there's stuff going on, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Okay, that's fine. So your roommates are throwing a party, is
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm hearing.
I wasn't invited. I'm too much of a nerd. I didn't join the basketball team and become cool.
That's funny.
Sorry.
No, it's funny to me. One of the examples actually that came from Spice 8 Rack is we have for Spider-Man Universes Within cards. The Universes Within version of Kraven the Hunter, it exists on Ikoria, and it's like a big game hunter. But Ikoria already had a big game hunter from when we first went to that plane, inspired by Kraven. Or at least the card we got felt heavily inspired by Kraven. So to me, it's really weird that we got Hunter Hunter inspired by Kraven the Hunter. Then we get Kraven the Hunter, but because of licensing rules with Marvel and the like, for Magic Arena, they are not allowed to put the Spider-Man IP onto Magic Arena because of Marvel Snap. Marvel would not allow them to compete with each other within the digital card game domain. So they had to create a Universes Within. So a lot of cards got a Universes Within treatment. So Kraven the Hunter got turned into a different, like, Golgari big game hunter on Ikoria. And to me, it's like Kraven inspires Cheval Bane of Monsters. Bane of Monsters' design inspires Kraven. The Kraven then inspires a different Ikoria big game hunter. It just felt like this incestuous Ouroboros of like IP or inspiration. I don't know if I'm doing like a really good job of explaining it, but it feels weird to me.
It kind of
And it
reminds me of how
feels
like YouTubers will react to the reaction of someone reacting to them, and it's like, God, just stop, please, just stop.
yeah, it feels lifeless.
Well, because it's like I guess a better one would be I think this is from BoJack Horseman, the Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox type thing. It's like suddenly all the you've copied all the contrast out of this image. It's now like stark black on white. It looks terrible. You've lost all the details. It serves its function, but it doesn't have the oomph anymore. It's not the photo you took.
I think that's a good way of putting it. It felt lifeless, and the Spider-Man set kind of felt like slop,
What? No. How
which
could
is
that be?
which is part of the reason I think Fleam like blew up on the Magic the Gathering like subreddits and other such stuff. Fleam being the in-universe version of. Do you want to guess? Actually, before I reveal
I
this?
may have Googled it. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Actually,
So
no.
you know
Hang
that
on.
it's
Sorry, I'm also dumb. So I'm gonna take a guess. I don't know. Green Goblin. I don't know why I googled
yes,
Fleam, but it doesn't actually show. Oh, it does.
Fleam
Okay.
is the in-universe version. Magic Universes Within is what they called it,
Right.
of the Green Goblin. And he's adorable. I love Fleam. What I also think is hilarious is Magic has been trying to shove loot down our throats as like a mascot
What, JB? You
and
don't like
and
loot?
the like.
You don't like him?
And people aren't fans of him,
What?
but uh and they just thought, oh, we would love any cute little doodad that they give us.
I'm sorry, I'm so confused, JB. You don't want your obnoxious, like, fuzzy loot deck box that looks like it would be just horrendous to use ever? Or, like, you don't want an overpriced loot plush? Or you don't want cards that are, like, unplayable, basically? But they have loot
I
on them?
mean, not all of the loot cards are unplayable. Some of them are good.
I mean, they're not terrible, but,
But
like, would you get caught dead using them? I guess is the question.
I mean, I do use some of them in a deck.
How dare you? How dare you?
I use I use the mono green loot in my landfall deck because it gives me an extra land drop per turn.
Can't believe you're a fake fan, JB.
It is Loot Exuberant Explorer. It cost me nothing because I opened it in a Foundations pack. So when I was building my deck, I didn't have to spend a cent. Well, I had to spend money on like other cards, but the loot card didn't cost me anything. Look, if I had had a card in my collection that wouldn't have cost me anything to put in that said you may play an additional land this turn, I would have run it. I probably would have run like Traveling Chocobo in its place if I had a Traveling Chocobo.
But you had the loot.
But I had the loot.
Guy's got
So
like he's got like 10
not only
penders,
did I have
Steve.
the loot, I had the borderless loot,
That's the one I'm looking at. What is wrong with
which is
like?
pretty.
I hope Jace has good dental coverage, man. That kid's gonna need braces.
What, Jade? Oh, for
Yeah, like look at his
that's so
teeth. Look at his little
funny.
teeth.
Oh my
They're
god. Oh my god,
gross.
that's hilarious.
I should knock on wood because like I'm
Um,
gonna my teeth are gonna fucking fall out soon at this rate.
yeah, knock on wood as well, but that was such a funny joke, actually. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, so if I had a Traveling Chocobo, I would have run Traveling Chocobo. I didn't, and I didn't feel like paying for a Traveling Chocobo when I had loot. And loot and Traveling Chocobo would have essentially been fulfilling the same function in the deck. I mean, not exactly. Traveling Chocobo, I think, is a better card. It is a more expensive card, too. What is it? Market price of like $25 right now? I'm not going to Google it. I don't care enough to, but whereas loot was free. It was just the cost of a single pack I bought at a store to support them.
Shall I support your local game store? Because that's the question. Do you support your local game store but inadvertently give Wizards like $1 because you know the game store's gonna buy the product from Wizards?
Wait, Nano's the game. So I stopped buying any sealed product whatsoever. The last sealed product I bought was the Aloy Secret Lair. And the reason I did that was I genuinely loved the Horizon series of video games, and I like really, really wanted the Secret Lair. I contemplated buying all of the cards from the Secret Lair on the secondary market, but then I saw the prices for all those cards on the secondary market, and it was a lot cheaper to just buy the Secret Lair itself. Like a lot cheaper to just buy the Secret Lair itself. And so that's what I did. That was the last sealed product I bought, and before that, the last sealed product I bought was like over a year ago. I've been basically buying exclusively on the secondary market or buying like singles from friends or trading from friends. I don't buy sealed product anymore, basically. Which to Wizards basically means I'm no longer a customer of theirs because I'm not buying anything where they get the money. I will say this, me owning product, like me owning cards of theirs and stuff like that, does influence the price of those cards on the secondary market because I'm a demand in the whole supply and demand, and because the cards hold value on the secondary market, it means they have value when they reprint them, and then they can use that reprint equity to like profit and the like. So I'm not fully like separated from WotC and not fully like supporting them, but I just didn't like the decisions they were making, and I basically went, screw it. I'm not gonna support this and the like.
As you should.
So,
Still support your local game store though. Buy singles from them. Maybe don't
oh,
buy. Yeah,
if they have singles, yeah, I buy
yeah,
singles. If they have
yeah.
card sleeves, I buy card sleeves. I love buying my card sleeves from local game stores. I buy Gundam or Gunpla from my friendly local game store, which is another hobby I'm into and stuff like that. Like, I buy my paints, my Vallejo paints. I love my Vallejo paints, but I buy them from my friendly local game store.
But as
I
much as I
just
want to know,
sup-
like, sorry,
oh, supporting your LGS, your local game store is important to me.
yeah.
Which is like why I bought the Foundations pack when Foundations first came out, and I happened to open the loot.
As much as I want to know about Vallejo paint, you mentioned how owning a card influences the secondary market just by proxy.
Not necessarily owning a card, engaging with the hobby,
Right.
because the secondary market is largely supply and demand, and supply is dictated by two things: people who own the cards that are willing to list them for sell or trade, and WotC planning to reprint them, essentially. If WotC never reprints them, then supply stays at where it is. Supply actually goes down if WotC never reprints them, because cards will get damaged or lost as time goes on, and people will get cards and have no intention of selling them,
Like this.
which then also lowers the amount in circulation.
Okay, what I just sent JB, because obviously the people at home can't see, is I sent him a screenshot of the guy who's trying to collect every Kabuto first edition. Which, if you don't know about this, I didn't until yesterday, but you mentioned supply and demand, and I had to show you. It's
Oh, I was not aware of this at all.
like I don't know
This
who
is funny.
we were talking about who hurt who earlier. Who hurt this man? Why does he need every Kabuto?
Who hurt the person who's denying him three of them?
Because he can't have every Kabuto. What if I want a Kabuto?
You can have one, just not a first edition.
Like seriously, the Kabuto market's got to be going crazy right now. After he gets every first edition, I bet you anything he's going to go after like the reprints. He's gonna. This man
Probably, I have
can't
no
be
idea.
stopped.
But so like when I go and buy a card, I have a demand for that card, so I affect supply and demand. When I purchase it, if I don't list it for sale, I have effectively lowered the supply by one, because the amount in circulation of the amount in circulation for transactional purposes has gone down by one, essentially. By me having a collection and not having it listed, like I have binders and boxes full of cards. I don't have those cards listed anywhere. I don't even have a like great way of keeping track of them for myself. I really need to work on that. But I don't have them listed anywhere for trade with other people, other than like the people that come over to my house and feel the need to flip through them, essentially. So, I'm effectively lowering the supply by my existence in this hobby as even a collector, right? Not even someone who plays the game. But since I play the game and I make new decks and I upgrade my decks and the like, I end up having demand, right? So I influence the supply demand on two ways: by holding my supply and not sharing it or the like, and by having a demand and such. So
Right.
that's kind of how the supply demand stuff works. It's very, very broad strokes. If people with a much greater grasp of economics want to like delve into it, they can go right ahead. I may or may not respond in the comments. It depends on if I'm in the mood or not. I could, in theory, because of the fact WotC is making these decisions, completely cut myself off from the hobby and no longer play it, no longer like look up new cards, and just like exist with my current collection or sell it entirely. But I'm I'm not at the point where I'm willing to do that. I still enjoy playing this game with friends. I would say currently it's not so much I enjoy playing this game with friends, it's that I enjoy hanging out with friends, and it's something all of my friends are more than willing to do, essentially. If I could convince my friends to play a board game instead of Magic, I might try and do so. But I don't see that happening.
That's pretty heavy for you to say because ever since I met you, this game has been like you were the Magic guy. This was your game. So the idea that you'd be willing to step away from it is kind of crazy.
I mean, I've stepped away from it a bit already. I stepped away from it especially when I got the job I currently have, because I used to go every Thursday to go play Magic with friends and the like. But my job, my current job, means I can't do that with my friends, because when I get home from work, because it's a 2 hour commute one way, they're already at the game store, and the game store closes at 10. Which means I get home at 7, I then have to get my Magic stuff, go to the game store. It's about a 20-minute commute. So I get to the game store, it's like 7:20, 7:30. Let's say 7:30 because of traffic. So I get to 7:30, I then play a game or two with them, and then I get home at 10 and I go right to bed because I have to wake up at like 6 a.m. to do a 2 hour commute to work to be there at 9. I also have to somehow eat dinner in that time period where dinner is now eating into my Magic time. So a lot of the time, what I do instead is I'll basically see like if any of my friends are free on the weekend to play Magic at my place, and we will do that instead. They're not free all that often, or if they are free, they're not all free at the same time and the like. So getting a Magic game going, because I enjoy playing Magic with my friends. Enjoy I enjoy the game to some extent, to the point where I will go to an FNM for Modern because I enjoy playing Modern and I'll play Modern. But I won't just go for like the sake of going. I'll go to an FNM if a friend of mine says, "Hey, I'm going to FNM. Do you want to tag along with me?" I'll be like, "Yeah, sure. I have a Modern deck. We can play some Modern." I'm not going to the FNM because I desperately want to play Modern. I'm going to the FNM because a friend of mine is like, "Hey, I want to go to the FNM. Do you want to tag along with me?"
Right. Have you ever considered relocating to a different local game store? Because yeah, if I understand you correctly, you're still pretty close to the greater Boston area, so I imagine you have
Oh,
access to a few.
I've contemplated relocating to a different LGS. Like, there's an LGS that is closer to me than the 20 minutes. Heck, there's an LGS that's on my commute home, so I could like go to that LGS instead. The problem is I've been going to this one LGS for so long that like the people who work at the this LGS are like now friends of mine, and I enjoy spending time and hanging out with them and the like. I could work to build that relationship at a new place, but I'd also need to convince my friends to move to this new place so that I can then play with them. Or I could not do that and try and build a new relationship with a new group of people. But I'm also at the point where I don't necessarily want to do that. I enjoy playing Magic with the people I enjoy playing it with. Could I, like, build that same relationship with new people? Probably, almost definitely. Some of the like best friends I've ever met, I've made through Magic the Gathering. Do I want to go through that effort of trying to find a new group of like friends to hang out and play with? Not really. I mean, that is work. I maybe it's not work to everybody, but to me on some level, like interacting and socializing with people is somewhat exhausting. I will sometimes like hit my social quota for interacting with people, and I'll be like, I do not want to like deal with people at all for the rest of the day. I'd be like, just leave me alone. And that's not anything against them. That's just me being just done with people. and maybe it's just because I've known these people for so long or stuff, I don't get to that point nearly as quickly with my friends that I've been playing Commander with for years. I do reach that point with them, like that's happened, but it doesn't happen nearly as quickly as I feel it happens with like new people.
Well, it's harder to be open with new people, so you don't have like as much to talk about. Like you've got to really build
It's
that.
it's also a good point.
Yeah.
So there's is that. So like I just don't feel like relocating. Like maybe I should relocate to the LGS that's on my relocating to the LGS that's on my commute home. Like maybe that is worth doing. But then I'm not playing with my friends, and that makes me sad. Like I really enjoy playing with them. And if they would have more interest in playing a board game when they come over to play Commander at my place, I have a ton of board games just in a closet here that I would love to play with people. Getting people over to play board games is not easy.
Do you have Mousetrap?
It doesn't. It just. It does. No, I don't have Mousetrap,
Oh, God damn it, JB.
unfortunately.
That's why nobody comes over.
Maybe I should get Mousetrap. I'll have to look into it. See if that changes stuff. It's not easy. Like a lot of the time, they're like, oh, I have to come over, learn a new board game, and then after X amount of time learning it, we can finally start playing. Or we could just play Magic, which is a game we all already know, so there's no learning time needed. We all just get right into the thick of things, essentially.
I mean,
I guess that's where I am with Magic, and that's kind of where I am with Flesh and Blood and with Yu-Gi-Oh, like, and with Pokemon the TCG. I have one friend that plays the Pokemon TCG with me. I have one friend that plays Flesh and Blood the TCG with me. That one friend that plays Flesh and Blood and Pokemon are both the same person. I have one friend that plays Yu-Gi-Oh! The TCG with me, which is UEJ.
yeah, it's me.
And then I have one friend that plays the Weiss Schwartz TCG with me, which is the same friend as Pokemon and Flesh and Blood. And then I have a bunch of friends that play Magic. But in that list of like friends that play Magic, only one of them plays 60 card Magic. All of the rest of them play Commander only. And 1v1 Commander is not great. And there's also like times I don't want to play Commander. Commander really does feel like a board game at times. It doesn't like always feel like Magic. And some days I want to play Magic, essentially.
It doesn't help that some days that board game is Candyland because, oh my god, I don't know what it is. Just sometimes the cards don't fall in any direction. You just sit there and go draw, 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 draw.
Yeah.
It sucks because everybody spent forever building their decks and trying to make decks optimal and making sure that they have that nice curve where they're getting their ramp when they need it and they're getting lands when they need them. And then no matter what you do, you just get those games where everybody bricks and it's nothing happens. It sucks.
Well, not even about like making their decks optimal. I have like tried to spend so much time tuning my decks to make sure they play properly and they like fit in the right bracket, essentially. Like, so you can make a deck that is entirely bracket 2 on paper, but play pattern wise, it is nothing like a bracket 2 deck where it's like too strong to fit within bracket 2,
Right.
right?
But I kind of just meant like you don't want to sit there and have those turns where you just go and do nothing over and over again. You always want to make sure you have at least one thing to do on your turn, I feel, even if it's
Yeah.
just put a land down.
Yeah. And you could get into a situation where you're doing nothing but bricking, which is part of the reason I like card games other than Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, because Pokemon basically copied Magic's resource system with energy. There are differences, but they're very, very similar. There's very few chances that you will ever brick or have like a dead hand. Like in Flesh and Blood, almost every card in your deck can serve 4 different purposes. Actually 3 different purposes. You can block with it, you can play it, or you can use it for resources to then play other cards, essentially. And since almost every card in the game can do those 3 things, it means if you have a hand of cards, you're not bricking because there is some way to play the things. Is it going to be the optimal way to play those things? No, but it's a way to play them. In Weiss Schwarz, basically every card in your deck becomes a resource card when you attack because it goes into stock. So then you can use that to play stuff when you get to like the higher levels and the like. Weiss is like kind of weird. The people that made Weiss wanted you to be able to play the game entirely with nothing but your deck and your opponent's deck. So like no dice are needed, no nothing. Just your deck and the opponent's deck. You don't need to record life totals or other such stuff. It's actually really cool and really interesting. I just feel that it's way too high variance, which I'm not as big a fan of in my competitive card games. I like my competitive card games to be lower variance. So it feels like I have more of an impact than like luck impacting it. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I've just been playing Weiss wrong, or maybe the decks I've been playing in Weiss have been showing Weiss's variance more than like it normally gets shown off by. But Weiss just feels really high variance to me, which makes it great for a casual card game, and I love it as a casual card game. But competitively, it feels too high variance for me. That's just me personally.
Now that you mention Weiss, I don't know anything about Weiss, just for the record, but you mentioned it being entirely self-contained. That got me thinking. Magic was conceived as a game you'd kind of play in the downtime at like conventions or casual settings. You could just whip it out, but you do need dice and other things to really play it without getting confused, don't you? So it begs the question: what are you?
Well,
Sorry.
you really only need in Magic in its inception, you really only needed a D20 to track your life and a D20 to track your opponent's life. Magic has become hit with complexity creep, which basically means it has become more and more complex. And as it's gotten more and more complex, you've needed more and more things to track everything you're doing, but you really just need your cards and a handful of dice at this point still. Like it's not that's all you really need is some dice and some in your cards. I would argue that 60 card Magic could still be played while you're waiting in line at a convention. Commander, no shot. Commander gets so complex and the board state gets so chaotic, I don't think you could do that while waiting in line at a convention. But 60 card 1v1 or 40 card 1v1 if you're doing like limited, totally still within the realm of possibility of being done at a convention. Which is again part of the reason I would say Commander is not Magic. Commander is a board game using Magic as its pieces.
Well, if it's not Magic, then why
I
does
know,
Wizards like it so much?
smoking hot take. Why does Wizards like it so much? Because Commander players buy their product like so much.
Oh yeah.
My friends, because quite a few of my friends were also quite upset with the direction Magic was going in. They were like, "Oh, we're not going to spend any money on Magic product and stuff like that. Magic's really upsetting us." Avatar: The Last Airbender came out. They each spent in one night over $100. One of them spent over 200, and then I heard from another one of them that they didn't get everything they wanted from their sealed product they bought, so they bought more. And I'm like, what cards did you want from this?
They didn't get a
They were
playset of
like,
Zuko
oh,
redeemed.
no, they're all Commander players. They don't give a fuck about playsets. They were like, I wanted this card, which was like a $40 card, and I wanted this card, which was a $50 card, right? So
Yeah.
$90 worth of cards. They paid $110 for the extra product they bought in the hopes of pulling them. I'm like, so you spent $20 more than what you wanted, and you didn't get anything that you wanted. And they were like, no, but I was also hoping that I would not only get what I wanted, but I would get more stuff that's like valuable that maybe I want or maybe I could sell. I'm like, oh, so you gambled. You played the MTG Finance gamble thing and you lost. They're like, yeah. This
JB's.
is the same friend that it took them so long. They used to say they didn't spend money on Magic because they refused to buy singles, and I, who wasn't a huge fan of gambling and buying sealed product, would just buy singles to get what I want. The only time I would buy sealed product is if I was intending to draft or play in a limited event where I needed the sealed product. Or I would buy a Commander Precon. They were like, I don't spend money on Magic. they recently started buying singles and realized like how much more economical it was to buy singles than trying to buy and like packs and pull their thing. They also would be like, I don't spend money on Magic while spending $25 a week on packs. Like that is spending money on Magic. Just because you're not buying the singles doesn't mean you're not spending money. But Watsy probably hates the fact that they've toned down their pack purchasing because they've started buying singles. Because now Watsy's not making money directly from them. Watsy is indirectly making money from them.
You know,
But
I've noticed with some card games, pack opening just doesn't hit the same. It's not. How do I put it? I feel like when you used to like open a pack when you were a kid, because these games used to just be a little bit simpler, I guess less gimmicked. There used to be a lot more mystique to it. Now, when the internet has kind of, I don't want to say ruined because let's face it, it is gambling to just open pack after pack. But I open packs now, and I'm just like, man, all these cards suck. It does. You never had that surprise of, ooh, this is neat, or ooh, maybe I could use this. It's just like crap, 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 crap. You know what I mean? Kinda, sorta, not really.
no, I know what you mean. I would say it's not so much packs getting open. Like, yes, we know exactly where the rare or the mythic is. Where we know where the money cards are in a pack, and we like now go right for them. I'd also say it's because of just how much information is out there about a format, or not even about a format, about like card games in general. When like you're opening a pack, you're probably already aware of like what cards from the set are good and what cards from the set are bad. So you're like flipping through it to find out, did you pull a good card or did you pull a bad card? Whereas in the past, the format wasn't as solved, essentially. So it's like, oh, you're flipping through, is this common playable? Is this uncommon playable? Now it's, oh, I know exactly what commons and what uncommons are playable. None of these are. For friends of mine that have gotten into Magic, I've actually realized this. They will try to like cram like any of the commons and uncommons they pull in packs into their decks because they're like, oh, these things should find a home, or I want to like use these things and the like. Even though they're really like making their deck worse, or
That's like the classic new player thing to do. Is I need all these cards. They're every card's the best card, so I need 100 cards or a million
yeah,
cards or
and
whatever.
there's also like friends of mine will basically go like, I've been handed like cards from friends who are like, hey, do you think any of these are worth playing in this deck? And I'll flip through it. I'll be like, no, this is a 4 mana 2/2 that gains you some life on ETB and really doesn't do anything else. This is not worth it at all.
You got to give him the Joey Wheeler speech, the unfortunate Joey Wheeler speech.
It's not even the unfortunate Jolie Wheeler speech. I'll see the cards and I'll basically be like, oh, these cards don't follow like this general trend of what stats a creature should have, right?
Right.
Like, oh, if it's a 2 mana 2/2, that's playable in limited. If it has upside, it might be playable in 60 card. Depending on who your commander is, it might be playable in commander, like a 2 mana 2/2. Or whatever its upside is, it might be playable in commander. If it's a 2 mana 2/2 with no upside, maybe playable in limited. I mean, I haven't played limited in a minute. For all I know, 2 mana 2/2s are no longer playable, and they now have to have an upside. Again, if you're in the comments, correct me or not. But probably not playable in 60 card at all, unless you're in like some really niche strategy where you need a 2 mana 2/2 vanilla. And almost definitely not playable in Commander unless you're in, again, some really niche, weird strategies. And part of that is the format's become more solved, in my opinion, where we know what is good and what isn't, and we know what is a good rate for something and what isn't. But I'd also say part of that is complexity creep, in that there's now so many things that have effects or abilities that something that doesn't have an effect or an ability, so like a 2 mana 2/2 bear, which used to be a very playable card, is no longer playable. And I don't know if that's pack opening changing, where like they've made it too gimmicky or stuff like that, or if it's just knowledge of the stuff has opened. Because I'd imagine children that don't know nearly as much about cards or stuff like that will still open packs the same way we did when we were younger. Or maybe kids are all in the know about pack opening and the like.
You mentioned, well, I guess I didn't even consider this. I forgot that Magic has like three different types of pack now. It has like the collector's pack, the
No,
like
they've
normal
they've
pack.
two
They have
different
two.
kinds.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to have three. So they made regular draft boosters, which you only use for draft. They made set boosters, which they originally were aimed at people that wanted like something better than a draft booster in terms of pull rates, but not nearly as expensive as a collector booster, because a collector booster is still really expensive in comparison. So they're like, let me give you something that's a bit better in terms of pull rates, but if you wanted to draft, you still go to draft boosters. And then they made collector boosters, which basically are here, take my money, WotC, give me 15, like, take $25, WotC, give me 15 cards. I'm gonna love the fact that they have a much higher chance of pulling the stuff that I want than otherwise, and that there's certain cards that are collector booster, like certain art treatments or other such stuff are collector booster exclusive. So you have to have like paid the $25, which then makes it that because those cards are only available in collector boosters, if you're buying them on the secondary market, they come with a slightly higher price tag because there's not going to be as many of them in circulation because not as many people are going to buy collector boosters. Well, when they first released set boosters, play draft boosters purchasing went really down because like if you because when they first released them, a set booster was only $1 more than a play booster. And if you're gonna buy like a single pack at the end of the night to support your friendly local game store that you spent several hours playing Commander in, are you gonna buy the draft booster or pay $1 more to buy a booster that gives you a like chance to open multiple rares, right?
Right.
You're gonna pay that $1 more. And it basically made it that the only people that were buying draft boosters were the people who were intending to draft with them or play limited with them because like you have sealed, which is pre-release is sealed, right, where you just get a bunch of packs and you make your deck from those instead of like drafting them. I think it was Troll and Toad, which is like one of the largest distributors and other such stuff for Magic in America, basically announced that they were no longer going to be carrying draft boosters because no one was buying draft boosters online from them, essentially. And they're like, they're not selling. We just have a bunch of this inventory. We need to get rid of it. And we're not going to be taking any more of it. Like, we're not going to be taking any more draft boosters. And when Troll and Toad made that announcement, WotC basically went, okay, cool, we're making a new booster type called Play Boosters, which is draft boosters and set boosters combined. I was not a fan of that. I'm going to be honest. I did not like the change. I feel, granted, I've only played in two limited events since Play Boosters came out. I played in the Thunder Junction. No, three limited events since Play Boosters came out. I forgot about Aether Drift. I played in the Thunder Junction pre-release, the Murders at Karlov Manor pre-release, and the Aether Drift pre-release. I wasn't a huge fan of those limited formats, and my local game store didn't have draft events for those things, so I never played them on draft. Karlov Manor needed work for its sealed environment. I basically you just slammed a bomb on the table, and if your opponent didn't have removal right away for your bomb, you won. Thunder Junction felt the same way, where I would slam a bomb, and if my opponent didn't have removal for it, I kind of just won. But that kind of happens in limited, like pretty frequently. That's kind of like how you win limited games: is you slam a bomb. If your opponent doesn't have an answer for it, you win. The thing is, I had multiple bombs in my deck that were all playable and were all usable, and that normally doesn't happen, but it happened in both Thunder Junction and Karlov Manor. Aether Drift actually was like more of the grindy limited that I normally experience that I really, really liked. So I think Aether Drift, they finally like fixed the issue that limited was having with the changes to like pull rates and other such stuff. So like maybe it's gotten better since then, but after Aether Drift, I've like stopped participating in sealed events and the like. I really miss the draft booster and actually drafting with draft boosters. The 3 limited events with play boosters didn't feel right or the same. It didn't.
You know,
So
I never even really thought about how Wizards is trying to balance. Obviously, you brought up how they're so focused on Commander, but they're also trying to balance for draft and things like that. Do you think that the game would be better if they just sort of acted like people were just playing modern and designed basically like how they used to it? You know, I don't know, turn of the millennium, and
well,
then
they used to only design for standard and
sorry,
draft.
standard is what I meant.
Yeah.
Do you think if they went back to that philosophy, it would make things like Commander more interesting or less interesting, or do you think like what do you think would be the
I
most healthy like design philosophy for the game in general?
I I think so. I mean, one of the things I liked the most about Commander before WotC really started designing for Commander in mind was finding these weird cards that weren't designed for a multiplayer format where you have 3 opponents, and all of a sudden, because you have 3 opponents, these cards have like a bunch of upsides.
Yeah, all of the
Um,
you have X amount of life and you win cards suddenly get really interesting.
well, they get really interesting because of the fact that you start with a bunch of extra life in Commander. But I was saying the thing like whenever an opponent does X, you get some benefit. You now have 3 opponents that could do X. So you get the benefit. One example of this of a card that basically before Commander was like not like good or known is Rhystic Study. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, unless they pay 1, draw a card. Rhystic Study without Commander is like not good because you have 1 opponent, they pay 1, or they immediately remove it. In Commander, you play Rhystic Study. If the first opponent doesn't have an answer to immediately remove it, they either don't do anything on their turn, pay 1 mana for every additional on top of what they have to pay normally for everything they're doing, so you're slowing them down, or they're not paying the mana, you're drawing a bunch of cards, right? Then the next player in the turn order goes. Same conundrum. If they don't have removal for it, it either puts them back, puts them behind, or you draw a bunch of cards. Or they do nothing, and they lose a whole turn. Because of the way that Rhystic Study works in multiplayer, it's become like an amazing bomb of a card, but that card was never designed with multiplayer in mind, right?
Right.
And there's other cards like it that were never designed with other, like, with multiplayer in mind. So
Goblin
I would
game.
love... Hmm?
Sorry, Goblin game. I brought it up in the last
Goblin
episode, but it's
game?
just so fucking
Yeah.
funny to me. It just says hide stuff and then like try to predict the number of things your opponents hid. I love
Yeah.
that.
It's a fun card. Goblin game is a very fun, very interesting card. And so, like, to me, what was fun about Commander when I was first starting it was the novelty, I guess. Novelty might be the right word, of finding these like hidden gems that make the like deck amazing or make the deck like really, really cool. Like, I recently absolutely baffled my friends with the card Penance, which is a mono white enchantment of return, like choose a card from your hand, put that card on top of your library, for prevent all damage from a black or red source of your choice this turn, right? I run that in a deck that cares about cards on the top of my library. So I will basically get an effect where it cares about what cards on top of my library, use Penance's effect to put a card from my hand on top of my library to meet that condition when I reveal the top card of my library. And that was really, really cool. And my friends thought that was really like cool. And one of the friends at the table was playing mill as a strategy, and they like milled me out, but I wouldn't die to mill out because they think it's stupid that you don't die when your library runs out of cards. You die when you go to try and draw a card from an empty library. They think if you tell someone to mill 7 and they only have 3 cards in library, they should lose.
But it's only when you
But
draw.
the rules don't say that. It's when
Right.
you draw, which Yu-Gi-Oh is the same. It's when you draw in Yu-Gi-Oh. So for me, whenever I would be forced to draw a card, I would, in response, put a card on top of my library to draw it. Now, I didn't have any card draw other than the 1 card draw per turn, so I would, during my upkeep, the phase right before draw step, put a card on top of my deck.
And
Right?
then you stay alive. You stay in the game.
And so I stay alive. Also, one of them was a Rakdos Voltron deck, which wins through commander damage. I would just prevent the damage the commander Voltron strategy was doing to me. So they weren't able to progress towards killing me. The player that milled me out basically used all of their resources to mill me out, wasn't able to like kill me. I killed them. Then the 4th player at the table that no one was really dealing with or attacking got rid of my penance. So I had no way of staying alive. So I came in 3rd. But like that happens and stuff like that. But penance was like a card they had no idea about. And the Voltron player was like, you can't prevent my damage, my commander has Shroud. Because they had equipped a Lightning Greaves onto him. I'm like, actually, if you check the Gatherer for this, it says choose a black or red source. So I'm not targeting, I'm choosing, which does mean I can go through Shroud. Which they were like shocked by, and they're like, wow, that's a cool card. I'm like, yeah, it is a pretty cool card. They're like, it's also a great card for like your strategy of deck. I'm like, yeah, thank you. I put it in here for a reason. And so to me, the novelty of finding that card, discovering that card's applications and the like, and then showing that off is like one of the draws or the fun parts of Commander. The issue is now we have so many resources that have kind of solved the format. I don't even know if solved is the right word. That showing off like weird esoteric cards like that isn't nearly as easy or as common. Especially since like EDH will like disseminate cards and the like if people end up running them. But I will also say this, EDH because it doesn't really check to see if the cards are any good, does kind of end up in a garbage in, garbage out situation where, let's say someone makes a commander deck with some cards that are less than optimal and puts them in the deck. Then that deck they made gets put onto EDH like recommending those cards to people. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then someone else goes to EDH sees the cards being recommended to them, which are the less than optimal cards from the person who made the deck, and makes a deck with those cards. So then EDH boosts those cards up in their popularity or their occurrency because more people are running them. And so it just becomes this essentially Ouroboros of garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
Right.
I've
So like
also
EDH does do that, which is why I don't think EDH should be your first and last step from deck building. Yes, I have no problem with looking at EDH to get inspired or to get ideas, but I also feel you shouldn't just make your deck entirely from EDH. That's not to say it's not a phenomenal tool to help you in deck building, but it should not be the end-all be-all of deck building.
I've also maybe it's not like a trend per se, but I've noticed lately a lot of people saying, instead of saying, "Oh, hey, look at this weird card, or look at this weird tech," they'll start saying, "Just don't run X staple that's been run for 1,000 years." Like I saw somebody saying earlier today, "I should stop running Soul Ring. Like there's no like it's not that much of an advantage." Like that seems really counterintuitive to the format to me.
I mean, first of all, I do kind of like the bracket system with game changers. I will admit I fell into this at one point where I basically would like go to make a deck, and I would basically go, okay, cool. I have put in my commander. I've put in 36 lands to be placeholders for like the lands I'm going to be putting in, so I don't end up with an absurd amount of cards and I need to make cuts to fit like cards in. And then I go, okay, cool. Now let me add in these 12 staples that need to go in every single deck of this color. Let me add in all of the colorless staples like Soul Ring and Thought Vessel and all this other stuff. Okay, now that I have all of that, how many slots do I have to actually work on the theme of my deck, right?
Right.
And the number of slots I have is like 20 or less sometimes after I've done all that. And I'm like, damn. Okay, let's see what staples I can remove from the deck to make the deck now more of what I'm trying to do with it. Where I would go and remove staples because I want the deck to be not necessarily more unique, but not as generic.
But I guess my thing
And
is
the
these.
game changer list, in my experience, has made it because so many people in my meta play bracket 3, where you have a finite amount of game changers, have made the game more varied. There is now more variance in deck building. Where before there used to be like 12 cards the same between every single deck, now it's not. And I have quite a few friends that are fully of the opinion you should not run Soul Ring in your deck because every single deck runs it. And I have friends that purposely don't run Soul Ring because they think it's boring to just run Soul Ring, even though Soul Ring is an amazingly good card. I think if Soul Ring wasn't printed in every single Commander precon, I'm pretty sure Soul Ring would be on the Game Changer list and take the slot as a Game Changer. I'm of the opinion Soul Ring is part of the Power 10, which is the Power 9 plus Soul Ring. And most of the Power 9 is banned in Commander. I'm pretty sure all of it's banned in Commander. Time Twister might not be. I'm not going to check. But I'm pretty sure Time Twister is the only card that's not banned in Commander from the Power 9, but it might even be. Soul Ring, if it wasn't printed into the ground to be affordable, also probably would have been banned in Commander for its price tag. Because there are cards that are on the banned list that are there because of how expensive they are, and they didn't want people to feel like they had to buy them to have an optimal deck. So I could entirely see Soul Ring, if it wasn't printed to the extent it is, being a game changer. Which then means you have to make the choice: do I run Soul Ring or do I run something else? I've also like been of the opinion that maybe we should remove Soul Rings from decks, because I've played games where someone gets Soul Ring on turn 1 and they basically win off of that huge advantage that Soul Ring gives them because it lets them just get to their main game plan so much faster, whereas other people are still building to try and get to their main game plan, and they don't have the resources to deal with them and build at the same time, and they choose to build instead. And maybe they should make the decision to deal with the person, but a lot of times people don't want to deal with someone else at the table. They want to do their fun thing, right? Which
Right.
is also part of the reason I don't think enough people run removal in their commander decks, because removal is like not really super fun. I mean, I enjoy running removal because I enjoy playing control and you kind of need removal for control. But a lot of people I've talked to call removal basically the vegetables on your dinner plate, where you have a dinner plate and you have your steak, you have your potatoes, and you have your vegetables, like your green beans or other stuff. And you like your potatoes and you like your steak. You find those things really, really tasty, really, really enjoyable. You don't like your vegetables, but you eat your vegetables because you have to. And I've met a lot of people that call removal in a commander deck their vegetables. And
I'm
I
sorry to
also,
split hairs, but isn't
yeah, go
are
ahead.
potatoes vegetables?
They are, but they're also a starch and they're mainly a carbohydrate. They do have some micronutrients, but a lot of people from a nutritional standpoint don't consider them a vegetable. Vegetables also technically don't exist botanically. Like fruits exist botanically, which is why tomatoes are a fruit, even though a lot of people call tomatoes a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
But botanically speaking, vegetables don't really exist. They're kind of like a made up classification. Like broccoli is a flower. right? Carrots are a root, potatoes are a root, if I'm remembering right. Like, there's no common thing defining them all, like there is with like fruits.
The common
Also, I
thing
said
defining
root
them
for
all is that they
those.
taste yucky.
I actually quite like my vegetables. I love broccoli. Broccoli is actually one of my favorite foods. I also love Brussels sprouts.
I like
Um,
spinach a lot.
Spinach is also delicious.
Sorry,
But I'm also
I like cold spinach. I think I'm a little weird like that. I don't like cooked spinach. I think it's kind of bitter. Does that make
it
sense?
can be bitter. No,
Yeah.
I feel if it's cooked too long or cooked improperly, it can get bitter. A lot of the green leafy vegetables can.
Yeah.
But I like spinach. I'm also a vegetarian, so I eat a lot of vegetables, and I like them a lot. Like I also like tofu, right?
I've never tried tofu.
It Tofu though really depends on how it's prepared. If it's not prepared well, it can really really suck. But back to the commander or back to the Magic the Gathering thing, I've met quite a few people that will literally throw two pieces of removal into a commander deck and call it a day. And to me, that's just not enough. Like, that's not enough removal.
But unless your strategy is literally just removal, because I think commander decks can be so personal. Do you really want to start going? I'm going to take out. This goes back to the staple argument, but I think this is the other side. Do you really want to start compromising all your cool stuff to make sure you have removal and safety? Because at that point, just run the Soul Ring. Because the Soul Ring's the safety. That's the insurance.
Well, this I wouldn't even say the Soul Ring's insurance. It's the Soul Ring's a staple, but here's the thing: people will run Soul Ring over removal because Soul Ring lets you get to your big, flashy, big like stuff faster.
Yeah,
Essentially,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
for me, yes, they're very personal. The problem is if you don't have any way of stopping what your opponents are doing, there's a chance you're never able to do what you want to do or what you designed the commander deck to do. Like, let's say your commander deck doesn't get going until turn 9, but someone has a commander deck that gets going on turn 8. If you don't ever, like, stop them or slow them down, they're just gonna win every single time unless they get unlucky. Right? Because
Right.
they're getting to their game plan a whole turn ahead of you just by the nature of their deck's design, their deck's construction, or like their deck's strategy, essentially. So you need the removal in there to kind of harass and or slow them down. Because if you don't, then you are always going to be one turn behind. There's also the fact that if you are in the lead and you are the person in charge, you might need removal to protect what you're doing, right? Like, if someone plays a creature that threatens a strategy you're doing, you're going to need a way to remove that creature. Or if someone plays a spell that goes to blow up what you're doing, you're going to need a counterspell. Counterspell is removal to deal with it. And so removal has its place. It's just a lot of people don't like it because it's not the cool stuff they want to do. But people in 60 card, I've found, don't have nearly as big a problem with running removal as people in Commander, I've found. Which is also, I think, partly due to the fact that the intention of 60 card is different than the intention in Commander. In Commander, you're intended to like play a game and let everyone have fun and everyone like socially do what they want to do. In 60 card, your goal is to sit there and beat your opponent as quickly as possible, and you don't really care if they haven't had a chance to play. You guys sat down to play a competitive game of Magic.
Yeah,
At
man.
least
60.
that's how I see 60 card, and that's how a lot of my friends see 60 card, essentially.
Yeah, man. It's life or death. You die in the game, you die in real life.
Exactly.
But going back to
And so,
my initial
yeah,
point about Soul Ring, it wasn't so much like Soul Ring's overused because it is overused and it is I think overprinted. I agree with that. But the thing is, it's
I
not.
wouldn't say it's overprinted. I would love it if every single card was printed to the point where it was $1. Like Soul Ring, I think could be even printed more, just so it's even cheaper than $1 for people to use. So I'm never going to complain about overprinting of a card. I just think it's overplayed.
Overplayed. And I agree with that. I don't think that's wrong. My problem isn't so much what you're saying, it's how people present the argument, because they don't present it the way you present it, where it's like, oh, there are alternatives to Soul Ring and this and that. They basically just, I've noticed people will come up and say, oh yeah, this card, trash, that's noob shit. And then they'll offer no alternative, they'll offer no other input, but then people like take it on, on the chin, and they're like, oh yeah, no, Soul Ring's trash, don't even look at it. Like, well, Soul Ring's not trash though, is it? That's why people still play it so much. It just seems like, I don't know if bad faith's the right word, but it seems like a really bad way to make a good point, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it might be that they're just frustrated at how ubiquitous Sol Ring has become, and that's why they're making their point so poorly, essentially.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't say that Sol Ring is noob shit, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to run Sol Ring. There's no problem with wanting to run Sol Ring, right? I
Right.
run Sol Ring in basically every single deck, except for one, I'm pretty sure. Um, And the one deck I don't run it in is because I have a companion that says the deck has to be all even CMC, and Sol Ring is one CMC. I contemplated buying a Mana Vault, I think it is. It was banned. It's a banned card in Commander now. Um, but it's basically 0 mana, tap it to add 2 mana to your mana pool. At the beginning of your upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, take 3 damage. And so I contemplated picking up one of those cards. I didn't end up doing it because of how expensive the card was. I genuinely was like, I don't feel like spending that on a single card. But I contemplated doing that to pick it up for that deck that runs that companion, because I'm like, Sol Ring's really powerful. This is a more powerful version of Sol Ring. I could run it and bring that power into my deck that cannot run Sol Ring. I'm very happy with myself that I didn't do that, because the card ended up getting banned, and I'm like, thank God I didn't end up spending the money on a card that was just going to get banned. But I could have, and I would have been very, very upset. I instead, when that card got banned, ended up like being super happy, because I had one friend in my local meta that's basically had like 8 copies of that card. I think he actually had 6, but I'm gonna say 8 for the point of hyperbole and emphasis. And those 8 decks were basically now no longer legal until he replaced the card. And he put in our group chat, we're not listening to this ban. This ban is stupid. And everyone else in our group chat was like, no, we're going to play off of the banned list. Sorry, dude. That card's banned.
But no, but I spent all this
So,
money.
yeah. Well, that's what he was really upset about, is that he spent all this money. Not only did he spend all that money, he bought some really pretty versions of that card. So he spent like more money than just buying the cheapest version of each one of those cards, like, period. So he was really upset.
Oh god, do you
And I could understand him being upset because of the investment, but it's like, dude, you're running that card in like basically every deck you play, almost. Like,
I may be remembering this wrong. This is a tangent, but do you remember like back before Mirror Force got reprinted into the ground in like the Merrick structure deck and whatever, I don't want to call it the battle pack, but I can't remember if it was the battle pack.
yep.
Back when it was only in metal, like Metal Raiders, and it felt like that card was always like, maybe it wasn't going like up and down in value, but it always seemed like guys would get it right as it got banned, and they'd be like, "Fuck," because they spent X amount of money on a card they couldn't play, at least until the ban, came off. Because it would be like on off on off. It seemed like sometimes Mirror Force was
Yeah.
really good, sometimes it was just okay, blah 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 blah, and then it got reprinted a million times. That was so long ago though. Like just oh
I
my
would say
god.
I don't necessarily think it's the fact that people would always get it right before it gets banned. I think it's because humans are naturally loss averse, that you would basically see the people who bought it right before it got banned, and they would basically have lost a ton because they put a ton of money into a card that's now worthless. And the like, that would stick with you. Whereas, let's say you're someone who bought Mirror Force right before it got unbanned. So you've spent like a tiny amount of money for now a card that like shot up in value. That I feel would not stick with people psychologically as much as a loss. An example of that is Jace the Mind Sculptor. Before he got unbanned in Modern, he was at like $60. And I decided to pick up a copy of him because my local game store had a copy of him in their binder. They're like, yeah, if you got $60, you can, the Jace is yours. So I bought Jace the Mind Sculptor. I think it was like 2 weeks later, he was unbanned in Modern, and he shot up to like $200, like overnight. Um, and for me, I like always remember that, but I also never sold that Jace. I still run that Jace in a deck, in a commander deck. I bought him for commander. That's where he still is. I don't know what he's at now. I don't care to look it up. I just don't care. Um, but I remember that story, but I would imagine that the people around me that saw me purchase it, because I purchased it with friends of mine there and stuff, I'd imagine they don't remember as clearly, essentially, the big win I got by doing that. Whereas if I had literally bought a Jace the Mind Sculptor, let's say he wasn't banned in Modern and he was $200, and then the next 2 weeks later he gets banned and he drops to 60, they might remember that just because losses stick with people more. And it doesn't affect them, so the loss would take a bigger impact in their brain than my win, essentially. But that's just because I think humans are naturally loss averse, which is why I think that's what resonates. But that's just like very intro level psychology, essentially.
Yeah.
And I could be entirely wrong.
We got to do like a Yu-Gi-Oh episode sometime, man. Like I hate to
Yeah, we
put
could
it
totally do a Yu-Gi-Oh episode.
like I hate to put it this
Um,
way, but I am really out of my depth with a lot of the Magic stuff. You are like, there's just so much Magic. Like there's like what, a little over 10,000 Yu-Gi-Oh cards. How many Magic cards are there?
uh, don't know idea.
That's a scary thought that you can't even give an
There
estimate.
are 27,000 unique cards in terms of
20.
rules texts. But if you're including alternate arts, reprints, and other versions, there's over 90,000.
Okay, I understand it's all the variants considered, but if you wanted every Magic card, that's 90,000 cards. So he's got to like
Over
do the.
90,000.
We got. I don't know. Maybe I should once this episode's done, I should do the math and like figure out exactly how much like surface area that is. Like if you were to lay out 90,000 cards, because I used to do that as a kid when I'd lay out my whole card collection and it would cover like the kitchen floor, and that was like not even 100 cards. I don't think that was like 90 cards, or maybe like 150, maybe 90,000 cards. Just
So,
that's crazy.
this is actually something people have asked on r/mtg 9 months ago.
Oh, so we're gonna get an
And
answer.
someone's answered this. If you stacked them straight up, including reprints, it would be 9 stories high, 27 meters give or take.
That's crazy. So on the
That's
top of the
stacked
stack,
straight up.
on the top of the stack of Magic cards, you'd have to like put one of those antennas to warn airplanes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how high you have to be up to put an antenna to warn an airplane, but if 9 stories is tall enough to do that, yes, you would have to.
That's gotta be close. I'm gonna look up how like tall the I know it's not like an answer, but I'm just gonna look up how tall the Empire State Building is for reference.
Well, 27 meters to feet is 88.5 feet.
Holy shit! The Empire State Building is 1,200 feet tall.
Yeah.
Wait, no, hey, those are dimensions. Hang on. Tall.
I mean, it's tall.
Oh, okay. So wait, it's 1,400 including the pinnacle. So 1,200 including all the floors, 1,400 including the tip.
Yeah, the magic cards would just be 88 feet approximately.
Okay, so I gravely overestimated how much that was. That's my bad.
Yeah.
God, the Empire State Building does not seem like it's 120 stories tall, which is
I mean,
weird.
but it is.
But like when you're still okay, I've been on top of it, but when you're on top of it, it seems high, but it doesn't seem that high. That's freaky. So now we have to ask the question: how
Yeah.
long until we have enough magic cards to get to the top of the Empire State Building?
No idea.
We'll find out when we're like 50 or 60, I guess.
There's also the fact that like I don't know. You might feel out of your depth, but I don't know if I feel like you're out of your depth when it comes to Magic. But we can totally do a Yu-Gi-Oh episode if you want to like go into your realm of expertise.
I'd love to do a Yu-Gi-Oh episode. I just don't know what I'd do it on.
Yeah. I don't know what we would do that on either. We can like plan this, but we've been
Yeah,
talking for a while if you want to call the episode
yeah.
here.
We should call it there. I think that's a good spot to end. We'll usher in the new year with an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because assuming I'm able to crunch and cut this all down in an appropriate amount of time, this should come out on the 1st of December. Merry
Yep.
Christmas! I guess this is our Christmas episode by proxy. You were talking about saying, I should stop saying by proxy. I feel like I say that a lot.
Nah, it's fine.
All right, but yeah, no. Any parting words to our viewers, JB? Aside from like, comment, subscribe, etc.
I'm trying to think. Parting words. Hopefully this video is a bit more edited than others. If you find the editing distasteful, you can complain to me because I'm not the one doing any of the work. I'm really just here to talk.
Well, then why are you taking the
And I
point?
really,
Complain to me. It's my.
well, I really feel they'll complain to me. I will filter it and then give it to you. Okay? I feel like
Here,
you
look.
dealing with their unfiltered hate or criticism is not conducive.
Oh,
Okay, EJ? Don't worry. I will be the filter.
yeah. Like, look, I will delay this episode if I have to get it. Like, I'm gonna focus on quality here because I really wanted to get all these out on the first. But honestly, like, if this one's a day or two late, but it comes out better, I think that's a worthy sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's a good point. There is a lot of dead air, and there is a lot of like I could be doing more, but I got so used to doing podcasts, just like, we recorded everything. Let's just put it out unedited. That's just how I'm used to doing it. But it is a valid point. I should be cutting out the dead air, and I should be making it more cohesive, especially now that we're in our 20s and not 15. When I was 15, I think it was acceptable.
Fair.
Now it's like being 27 and going out with like a Zelda shirt and like cargo shorts. Like, no, you can't do that anymore, man. You're too old. I'm sorry. Like, you can do one or the other, but you can't do both.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, wait. Cargo shorts, Zelda shirt, and facial hair. If you shave, I think it's acceptable, but you can't do it all.
Gotcha.
I know it's very specific, but I know I've known too many people who did that for way too long. Like, I'm sorry,
Are
man,
you
but you do outgrow
are
that.
you still recording or no?
I maybe. Should I leave that in, or is that too mean?
No, you can keep that in. I was just wondering.
That's my
But
PSA.
I do think we should cut it off here.
All right, goodbye, everybody. Have a good night. Stay safe. Don't wear a Zelda shirt, and don't shave, and don't do all that stuff I just said in sequence. You can do one or the other, but not all of it.